You might be one of the many people that is typing into Google the specific term asbestos removal Ottawa cost. If that's you, I've made this video specifically for you to address this question. This is a very common question that's searched every month, and the answers can be so vague and so specific to the point where it's completely unapplicable to your situation. So I'm making this video to try and break things down and give you an idea of what you may be looking to spend. And from there, if we can help you, we'd be happy to. My name is Kyber with PatchBoyz Ottawa Asbestos Removal, and today we're going to talk about the cost. So what is the cost? Let's look at this from 10,000 feet. The general cost will be between $8 and $15 a square foot if we're talking Ontario. This varies greatly from province to province, and even this range that I've given you here, it can be much more and much less. And of course, companies have a minimum because you have to set up containments, you have to bring in all this equipment, and cleaning the containment, even if it's a small area, certain materials still require immense preparation at the beginning of the project, as well as at the end. The decontamination of a chamber can take hours or days depending on what it is that was done and where this is. For example, mechanical rooms, can you imagine all the pipes, all the plumbing, electrical, all the stuff that's exposed that sometimes cannot be contained or sealed off? Everything must be cleaned one by one. So I want to use that and preface that what I say here is really subject to your particular situation and to the person that you have in your home. If they say something that's different from this video, don't automatically think that they're not being truthful. There are great service providers here in Ottawa, and there are some that are not so great. And I'm going to do my best here to educate you on the costs, but at the same time, if you have a good feeling with the service provider, give them a chance and give them the benefit of the doubt that what they're saying is legitimate, because the costs vary greatly depending on the type and what is being removed and the surface area. So from that 8 to 15 or more, the things that can create a lot of variables are the different types of asbestos removal. You have type 1, type 2, and type 3, as well as type 2 modified, type 2 glove bag. So these are different types of removals that have different requirements, as well as different surface area maximums. So for example, a type 1 will give you a limit of 10 square feet or 1 square meter of area that you can remediate. And this is only for certain materials. So this is one of the reasons that we really don't recommend anybody take on asbestos removal on their own, because the regulations are so intricate that what you can do for one material is completely outside of the regulation for another material. And switching back and forth between materials, you're likely to do things wrong unless you've memorized the regulations. Even professionals such as ourselves sometimes have to contact a consultant because a project is so different and hovers between different procedures that it's better to get a third opinion and follow the regulations. And sometimes there are situations that present themselves as completely new to any professional. So it's very unique in this sense. And when you read the regulations, it almost seems contradictory until you really start to break things down into tables and really understand things. So you have type 1, and that will apply to certain materials and not others. And that allows you to not build a full containment, but create partial containment methods and wetting, and this is only for certain materials. Then you have type 2, where you do have to build a containment. It does not require a negative air machine. It requires wetting with certain materials and not for others, and it can accommodate the removal of certain materials if you have dustless equipment, but if you don't, you can't do it in type 2, and you have to do it in a type 3. Type 3 requires a full containment chamber, a dirty room, shower room, clean room, a negative air machine, a capnometer to measure the negative air pressure and make sure that it's sufficient to be keeping the asbestos within the containment, as well as a recommended third-party negative air test at the end to make sure that the containment has been properly cleaned before tearing it down. And the type 3 accommodates certain materials that were not able to remediate under type 1 or type 2, or were not able to remediate them in certain methods in type 1 or type 2. So it really is intricate. The course for asbestos removal is several days long, and the exam is quite intricate. So I'll leave it there, and we'll just keep going. So cheaping out. I wanted to talk about this because there are things where you can cheap out and it's not going to cost you your life, basically. When cheaping out with asbestos, the dangers here are that the air that was contaminated continues to circulate in your home. So I have seen there are some big contractors in the city that have been around for a while and are absolutely terrible. And of course, I won't name names here. And there are some great service providers, but there are some that have asked me, for example, I have personally been asked to go into a containment that was being worked in, and the contractor, they wanted to offer me their work to sub out because they were busy. And the contractor told me to hold my breath, go into the containment, just hold my breath and don't breathe. Well, everything we wear is going to get lodged with the asbestos fibers, and that contaminates me and my family. And you have contractors that talk and think like this. And if they're doing that with another professional, such as myself, just imagine what they're doing to their clients. And I've personally seen containments. I've been in homes where they were doing remediation and opening hatches that shouldn't be opened while their clients were in the home. I was in the home, and I've excused myself from homes where something was going on it was in progress and they were actively contaminating the home. And I'm talking about big companies in Ottawa. So cheaping out on asbestos removal is a really dangerous game, right? And it's going to be too late by the time you realize it. A small contamination likely won't affect you or your family, but if it was a big contamination and it continues to recirculate in your home over and over and over, especially in the winter when we don't open our windows, and that just keeps recirculating, the conditions that affect us happen decades later, usually about 2 decades later. It could happen as soon as 10 years, But asbestosis, mesothelioma, lung cancer, these are extremely dangerous diseases that are completely preventable. And so when a contractor is willing to reduce their price or give you a really cheap price, they do have to cut corners. People do have to cut corners because they have to pay their employees, they have to pay their taxes, they have to pay for their trucks, insurance, materials, and you can't do things for less and still pay everything. So you have to do less. Does that make sense? And that less affects you. So this is one of those places where you don't want to cheap out. It's not like carpentry where you're going to have an eyesore, or bad drywall work where you're going to see the unevenness in the light. No, this is going to cause lung cancer if the exposure was big enough. So I highly recommend not cheaping out and going with the people that you feel most comfortable with and that offer a high level of service up front, which should ideally reflect the service that you're going to get on the back end. Does that make sense? Now, minimums. If you're having a small surface area, if we've talked about $8 to $15 a square foot, and you only have 1 square foot, well, it's not going to be $15, right? It's people have to pay for the setup, the teardown, the disposal, the material costs for all those containments, everything. So don't be surprised if you get a minimum of $700 or $1,000 or $1,500. There's a lot that goes behind this, both on site and after, and the preparation and the cleaning. So you have to understand that there are minimums and that those square foot prices are subject to how big the job is. In the end, I could go on about this all day. There are so many different aspects to this, and like I said, just the course is multiple days long. Then the experience that you gain over years and years of working in it, there are so many things that you learn along the way. But if you have any of this in your home in Canada, or you think you have asbestos and you're looking for a second opinion, or you need testing, which I highly recommend if you suspect something and you're about to start a renovation, that is the legal procedure, and you do want to look out for yourself, your family, and the contractors that are coming in. So give us a call and we can test it for you. We can work with you and the other trades to make sure that everybody is safe and that the project keeps moving along quickly. We understand that a lot of the times that asbestos is discovered, it's discovered as a last-minute resort or an afterthought, unfortunately. And there's a lot of things that have been put in motion according to your timeline of your project. And we try to respect that and work with you and make sure that things stay on track as much as possible. My name is Kyber with PatchBoyz, and I look forward to serving you. I look forward to hearing from you and see what we can do together. Thank you.